Good day, folks. This is Wayne and Tina with Remax, and we're here today to do our third show. And we've got a little special surprise for you today. We have a guest.
Yeah.
And Tina, maybe you want to introduce our guest?
So everybody, we have today with us Arlene Pittman from Welcome NL. We're really excited about this. I call it a project. I guess it is a project,
Yes.
right? That she's working on. That we thought that you guys would really love to hear what she's all about and her program. And it's such an amazing thing. We just happened to chat about it the other day. I hear about it all the time. Didn't know exactly what it was about. And so I had a great chat with you the other day and said, oh, we got to get this out there. People have to know what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Well, thanks for having me first. This is absolutely a great opportunity for us to be able to explain Welcome NL and introduce myself as the project coordinator in Happy Valley Goose Bay. The Welcome NL project is a pilot project that started in November 2018. And really we're a project that is geared towards helping newcomers that come into our community to help them navigate services, provide them information that they may be looking for, help connect them with different businesses or groups or any type of service in the community that they're looking for. Our goal is to be very community facing. So, this is great for us to be able to get out there and for people to see who we are. And it's also, say, not a one-stop shop, but a starting point for when any newcomer comes into the community. If they don't know where to go or, where to find grocery stores or where to look for housing or rental areas or anything, we can help direct them. One of the big projects that we've completed over the last year is we've created these new welcome guides to Happy Valley Goose Bay. And we're actually on our third print of these guides right now. So it's the guide actually provides a lot of services, what's in the community. Whether it's community services, whether it's government agencies, community and sport recreation, the schools, the churches. We try to get a really good snapshot of what's in our community as a starting point. So it's not only useful for newcomers that are moving into the community, but if there's somebody visiting over the summer holidays that are coming here for a 2-week period, it's a nice little, can be used as a somewhat touristy guide as well, right? So, so it's a huge, this is one of our big projects that we completed this past year. So now we're kind of pushing them out in the community. So we'll definitely drop some off.
Perfect.
So that your office can have some.
Yeah, so if anybody is looking for anything about, we are sometimes their first point of contact.
Definitely, yeah.
Looking for a rental or I say, looking for housing, that kind of thing. And I know this beautiful couple I just dealt with a couple of weeks ago, and you're trying to find them all the numbers, them in your head maybe, but they're saying, so where do we go get this, and how do I talk to the school? And, oh my goodness, yeah. So I'm thinking, you're trying to get the fire department, the police department, everybody, emergency services first. That's the most important thing, I guess. But then the other thing is that this is going to be so helpful for them. Because there's things that we won't even think about, that are everyday life, living in Goose Bay, that'd be very beneficial.
And one of the things, what we did, our goal with this booklet is it's an always ever-growing booklet. So there's things always change in the community. There's always new additions. There might be new businesses or organizations. So we have it that we haven't done a huge bulk print, 15 or 1,600 copies.
It changes so often.
Yes, it changes so often. That gives us the ability that if we need to make an addition or a change, we can do that. So we do a couple of hundred at a time, which has been great because they're not sitting dormant for a long period of time. And it's, like I said, it's a wonderful tool. We get a lot of feedback for newcomers that are coming into our community. And our newcomer, terminology includes obviously our immigrant population that is moving here, but also anyone new that's moving to Happy Valley Goose Bay. So if you're from St. John's or from New Brunswick, you still don't know what's available in our community. And then obviously, we try to work and fill in and provide services for other individuals that are coming from other countries that, for other services that they're needing as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because really, and that's one of the things that got us interested in getting you in today, because a large portion of the folks that we deal with on a day-to-day basis are people that are coming in from outside. And to your point, they could come from anywhere. It could be coming from another province, another country, another town. It simply doesn't matter. So we're kind of blessed here in a way in that Happy Valley Goose Bay has always been a place where people come from many other places.
Yeah,
it makes for a very interesting community. So this information is absolutely incredible.
We actually, this past year, there's been a number of our, the population, the higher population that I'm working with, that have actually purchased homes, and which is so exciting, because at the end of the day, we want to sell our community that they're going to stay. Do you know what I mean? And when you make, if you're making one of the biggest purchases of your life, a home, and you're deciding to do that in Happy Valley Goose Bay, then we know we have you for a while. Do you know what I mean? So that's an investment. It's a huge investment, and not only to our community, but for our province as well. So, it's very exciting that, some of the stuff that I've been, I've had the privilege to be part of in this position. Now, we've only been up and running November 2018 is when we started. So we're still fairly new, and we're still outreaching to the community, getting involved in, the opportunities like you're providing us today. But also we want to be able to let the community know that we're there. Do you know what I mean? And that, we'll help in whatever capacity that we can help with. One of the groups that I've worked very closely with over the last year, for instance, is with Labrador Mental Health. And I've done actual community tours with individuals that are planning on moving here, just to kind of show them the community. Do you know what I mean? So anything that makes it easier for somebody new coming into the community for them to adjust or transition is a huge bonus for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So again, this is incredible information. So on a go-forward basis now,
Yep.
when we get folks coming in from out of town,
Yeah.
because we try our best to help them here, but
Yeah.
to Tina's point, sometimes we're limited with the amount of information we have. So now we can certainly give them one of these guides, and we now have.
I know, it's very exciting.
So this has been fabulous. We're so happy that you came in today and tell us about this. I think it's going to be a real big bonus for a lot of folks who are going to be coming to Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, I'm so grateful that you and I ran into each other last week, and then when we had spoken, because this gives us a platform, because even though we've been very active in the community, not saying, per se, there's still huge gaps of people in industry and organizations that don't know that we're here. So, what we want to be able to say is, we're here, we're able to help you, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, whether it's, if you have any questions about anything, and we also will direct, the individuals that come to us, outreach to other services in the community as well, because we don't have all the answers. Our job is to provide that outreach to say, here you can go here for this or here for that or whatever, right?
Same to the professionals.
Definitely.
In
In different capacities. Yeah.
And even just having that little bit of information, I know when you move to a different town, it's just, you've got to try to figure out things yourself.
Definitely.
And that's a big win there, I think,
Well, you guys are going to have to come to our, we've done, one of the big things that we do is we do big community potlucks. Yes.
The other day.
And we
Oh, my
have
goodness.
could be up to 130 or 140 people that are all mixed, you know what I mean, cultures, it's absolute, and the food is unbelievable.
You got my attention.
Yes, yeah.
You
So-
got
As
food.
soon as you said food.
Exactly, and then we also try to engage and have people, either they might do a dance performance or they might sing or something, but it's a great way to kind of meet members of your community, and then be able to say, so then they'll know who you are. So if they're thinking about renting or possibly buying or whatever, they have an opportunity outside of a formal setting to kind of put a face to, you know, a name to a face, right? So,
Fabulous.
yeah.
So Arlene, you can look forward to us sending many more people down to see folks.
And we will do the same. Yeah.
So, I mean, thank you for coming in
Yes,
today. It's
thank
been
you.
absolutely great information. So folks, you know, if you know of someone who's going to be moving into Happy Valley Goose Bay, or just recently moved or considering moving, we have a fabulous resource here in Welcome NL with Arlene and her group. And if you don't know how to contact her, contact us. We'll make sure that we get the folks down there.
Perfect.
But again, thank you for coming in. It's been absolutely great information, and I'm sure people are going to benefit from this tremendously.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, that was incredibly interesting.
Oh, great information.
It was incredible information. And that's part of what we're going to be doing on a weekly basis. We're going to try and find interesting information that we think will benefit our clients, will allow you to have, you know, make more informed decisions about your plans to purchase, to rent, to shop, to do anything. So for us, I guess it's going to be more around the real estate market. But so what we got going now, every week we did tell folks that we would do an update in terms of what's going on in the market. Very little change since last week.
Right, yeah.
But we will reiterate what's going on and just tell people that here we have it, like on the MLS system, we did explain last week what MLS is. It's a multiple listing system. There's 43 houses at present, and there might be a few more, whether they be exclusive or private. Certainly would be under 50 houses in total in the whole area. And so, as we always do every week, we break them down in segments. So Tina and I will read them out so people get an idea of what houses are available and what price range. So again, in that $50,000 to $100,000 range, Tina, we have one.
The 100 to 150, we have 3.
Mm-hmm. And then in the next range, which is 150 to 200, there are 3 houses in total.
And then we have 15 between 200 and 250.
So again, the largest segment that we have. On the 250 to 300 segment, we have 5 houses.
300 to 350, there are 7 right now.
Mm-hmm. 350 to 400, we have 4 properties.
400 to 450, there are 2.
Mm-hmm. And at 450 to 500, we have 3, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we really haven't had a lot of movement in the past week. Interestingly, there are a number of people out looking at properties, and I think that's indicative of how our community works. Like, we are somewhat seasonal, but there's always something happening in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Like, people are coming in for new jobs, so like after Christmas and New Year's over, people tend to show up, so they might be looking for houses. And I think this is important for someone who's considering potentially putting their house on the market. And they're thinking to themselves, you know what, maybe I'll wait till spring or June or July to do it. But that's not necessarily the best thing, because that's why we're trying to break these houses down. And for instance, if your house is in that 350 to 400 range as an example, and you're thinking that, oh my God, there's a lot of houses on the market, there are actually only 4. And that's including here and Northwest River. I think one of those is in Northwest River, which means 3 in Goose Bay. So you really don't have much competition. So having said that, it's really not a bad time to talk to your realtors and potentially think about putting your house on. Get a head start, because there's not a lot of competition right now. So if you want to do that, you can call Tina or I, and we'll be glad to come down and do a free assessment for you. So one of the things we talked about a little bit today, and I guess we'll give people a little inkling of some of the things we're going to try and expand on, is I think we've told people before, we do rentals, we do house sales, we list houses for folks, we do commercial properties. So we talk a little bit about some of the differences in when you're buying. For instance, even on the residential side, when you're buying a regular house, say, which would include just a standalone house and maybe 1 apartment, people need to understand, I'm sure a lot do, but some don't, that the current mortgage rules that we have in this country dictate that you have to put 5% down on a property, okay? And then the rest you can finance through a mortgage. But what a lot of people don't know sometimes is occasionally they want to do an investment, and there might be 2 apartments plus the main house. So now you've got 3 different accommodations in the house. In that case, the down payment rate is gonna be considerably higher. In that case, it could be 10%. And if you go 4 apartments, for instance, in a property, you're gonna do an investment that will be considered more like a commercial purchase, and that would require 20% down. So there are lots of different rules out there. So we want to give people at least a little bit of an inside look at these things. And if you want more information, you can call Tina or myself, and we'll be very glad to explain all that to you. And again, there are a lot of different rules around the finance business itself. And speaking of which, I think we're thinking about getting someone from the finance world in the very near future, another guest.
Yeah.
And we will explain to folks exactly, how the finance system works when it comes to purchasing property. And because I always like to explain to people, when you're buying a mortgage, because we have a lot of people in this town, for instance, who rent. And while we do rentals, we'd like to see people to get into the home ownership, because then it's your opportunity to build some equity.
Right.
And I'm always trying to explain to people that when you buy, it's not a direct comparison to renting in terms of what you pay out each month, because your mortgage is broken down in 2 segments, one being the interest and the other being the principal payments. So you're actually building equity, of course, when you purchase, whereas if you rent, you build no equity. So it's very important for people to understand that the positive thing about buying is that you can build equity. So if you're going to be in Happy Valley Goose Bay for 5 years, a general rule of thumb is if you can come up with some down payment money for property, at the end of 5 years, you're probably going to have about $40,000 worth of equity in your property. That's a general rule of thumb. As opposed to renting, at the end of 5 years, what do you have?
Absolutely nothing.
0. So again, another little tidbit of information.
It's always the best investment. Anyway, it's always the real estate was always known as the best. It doesn't fluctuate so fast. It gives you a bit of time to react to a market one way or the other. So it's always a good investment.
And for most people, it's the only way that you can really build wealth in your lifetime. Because eventually, whether you buy a $200,000 home or a $500,000 home, eventually you will own that property. And it's almost going to be impossible to save that kind of money in your bank account. You just can't do it.
That's right.
So I guess what we're trying to do is, obviously we're in the business of selling and listing houses and whatnot, but we want people to be informed about all the opportunities that are out there. And so we look forward to seeing as many people as we can. Call us if you want information.
Yeah, any questions that you may have. And like we mentioned too, about our site, if they want to see something different or have a direct question, to add it to our site there.
So I think we're going to say that's it for this week. We've obviously had a guest speaker in, which gave us some really interesting information. We'll hopefully have another one next week. We'll keep updating you on the status of the market, what's going on, and I think collectively we can all hopefully make a difference in helping people make their decisions about real estate. So, anything else to add this week?
No.
Okay.
We hope you have a good week.
Have a good week, folks, and we will see you back next week. And remember, it's never a bad time to buy. And right now, it's actually not a bad time to sell. So look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Take care. Have a great day.